Yes. And now, hear from Betty.
That was fast. Hi, Keshet, we're Betty. No. That's not what happens. When we say hi, we're Betty, that's your cue to scream back at us. Hello, Betty!
With a lot of enthusiasm.
And a lot of love.
Okay, ready
Hello,
for your
Betty.
cue? Ready for your cue? Sit up straight. We believe in you. Hi, we're Betty.
What the world needs now. What the world needs now. What the world needs now. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. Needs now. It's the only thing that there's just too late love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. Needs now. No, not just for some, but for everyone. Lord, we don't need another mountain. There are mountains and hillsides enough to climb. There are oceans and rivers enough to cross. Enough to last till the end of time. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. Lord, we don't need another meadow. There are cornfields and wheat fields enough to grow. There are sunbeams and moonbeams enough to shine, enough to last, you know. No. Love, sweet love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. What the world needs now is love.
Thank you.
Please welcome back to the stage our MC for the night, Liz Glazer.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, we met, a second ago. Thank you for taking your seats. And thank you and welcome to Outstanding 2023. Yeah. Totally. And Outstanding has always been about what Betty was just singing about, which is love and support. And tonight is going to be an opportunity for us to refill our cups with love, with mutual support, and with hope for a future of peace. Every day, Keshet is a source of connection and strength for Jewish community members nationwide. And we especially need that connection and that sense of strength and hope together right now. Our hearts were broken, obviously, by what happened, the attacks on October 7th on our Israeli family, and we continue to fear for the hostages and to pray that they come home safely. We grieve as violence and suffering escalate in Israel and in Gaza, and as innocent lives are lost on both sides of that border. So this is not a time of easy joy in any way, but it is a time where we're able to connect to our own resilience and courage, which are powerful tools. And for us to be in community is good for our souls. Yeah, sure. I also want to say that tonight marks the 85th anniversary of Kristallnacht, which is obviously a night of devastating violence against Jews in Germany in 1938. So that, of course, is the preamble to tonight. It's the setting of the world right now. But we're here together. And we're in Newton, we're near Boston, it's 2023. It's not 1938, we're not in Berlin. But of course, many of our hearts are shattered today. And I don't think anything. I'm a comedian. I don't know if you know that. I wasn't always a comedian. I used to be Alice from the Brady Bunch, but I am a comedian, and I don't think that anything that's happening in Israel is funny. But I do have one anecdote to share with you that happened to me in the last 3 weeks that is funny. So I'm going to share that with you. So I was very recently on a flight. And on that flight, there was a man wearing a T-shirt that said Hamas. And I was like, I was not aware that they were selling merch. Also, like, that's a really bold choice for a flight. Like, you're like picking out that's the T-shirt I'm gonna go with. And so I'll admit I was scared, and I went up to the flight attendant and I said to her, I was like, hey, there's this guy and he's wearing a T-shirt, it says Hamas. Do you mind checking it out? And she goes and does that. And a couple minutes later, she comes back to me and she says, do you mean the man wearing the T-shirt that said Bahamas? And I was like, I said what I said, okay? So put it this way, I am in possession of a lot of sky miles right now. Okay, I'm a Jew through and through. I am a comedian. I am Jewish. My Jewish background, thank you. My Jewish background is I went to an Orthodox Jewish day school. I went to a conservative synagogue, and now I'm married to a Reform rabbi. Thank you. So I think that makes me Hasidic overall. And I grew up going to Orthodox school, but my parents were far less observant at home. So I remember in first grade, I came in on Monday, and my friend Shira comes up to me, and she's like, what did you do over the weekend? And I was 6 years old, and so I was like, well, I went ice skating and roller skating, and I went to the museum, and I went to the movies, and we went apple picking, and she was like, you did all that on Sunday? And I was like, yes, because I'm a liar. But I'm so happy to be here because I'm also gay. I'm married to a female rabbi. Yeah, it's amazing. And, you know, the thing is, I wish that I did not have the experience growing up as a queer person, as a lesbian, always knowing that I was, not always being out. I definitely did not feel comfortable being out. My parents were really upset that I was gay. And then I started dating a rabbi, and they're like, hold on, we're proud. Easy there. But it's, I think, you know, organizations like Keshet, I wish were something that my parents and I availed ourselves of, but I just didn't grow up like that. And so I think that right now is a time, given what's happening in the world, to really dig in to the Jewish organizations that we call home, okay? And also, for me, I mean, I wish that this was something that I had when I was growing up. Because first of all, I love being gay, but I gotta say something, which is it's changed. Because now, everybody's gay. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, it used to be novel to be gay, which had its costs, but also, like, it was cool to be gay. And now, the curve has gone gay. The value of the gay dollar is down. You know what I mean? Because everybody's gay. Like, I'm 44. 23 years ago when I came out to my parents, they were upset. Now my parents are gay. Okay. No, they're not really. My dad's dead, so he's gay. No, my dad actually died during the pandemic, but not of COVID, which is the no homo of dying during the pandemic. And my mom's not gay. I wish my mom was gay. I want a piece of her. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. But I wish my mom was gay because my mom is now dating, okay? Which is my personal nightmare because my mother is on dating websites. First of all, just as a side note, if anyone knows a guy for my mom, please tell me, okay? 76, hot, okay? She's amazing. But here's the thing, is my mom's not gay, and I wish she was because she tells me, she's like, Elizabeth, I'm afraid of men on the internet. And I'm like, yeah, mommy, that's why I'm gay. It's at least half the reason. I don't know sometimes if I'm more lesbian or anxious, truly. But my mom, she's really on dating sites, and she asked me yesterday, she was like, if I respond to someone's profile, should I say I'm intrigued with your profile or intrigued by your profile? I'm like, either way, you sound like a chat bot. So don't. But no, she doesn't want to get catfish. That's the thing she's afraid of. And you know, like when someone lies about who they are and what they do and where they live and all that. Okay, she doesn't want that, which is a reasonable fear. But here is my mother's way of dealing with it. She's like, I don't want to get catfished, so I made my profile. In my profile, I said that I have a different name. I said that I live somewhere else. I said I'm 25 years old, and I said that I'm a man, okay? So she's like, I'm not getting beat by this problem. I'll just become the problem. So if anyone's dating a 25-year-old pool boy named Sven from Tenafly, New Jersey, it's Toby Glazer, okay? I mean, she makes a mean gefilte fish terrine, and she can return everything you own to Bloomingdale's with or without a receipt. So it's a pretty good deal for you. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I say all of the things that okay, so getting back to why we're here tonight and Keshet, such an amazing organization. So Keshet provides spaces for queer Jewish youth to be their absolutely fabulous, truest, most authentic selves. Okay? It gives, yes. Keshet gives our Jewish community leaders and staff the tools and resources that they need to create communities of LGBTQ plus equality and belonging, mobilizes Jewish communities around the country to fight for LGBTQ plus rights and to create meaningful opportunities for LGBTQ plus Jews of color to come together in community. Thank you to each one of you for being here and for making this work possible. I want to offer special gratitude to our event sponsors. Give it up for the sponsors. Yeah. Give it up for the host committee who worked so hard to make this event possible. And I want to offer special gratitude to our event sponsors, host committee, honorary chairs, and you can see their names listed on the program cards, okay? And the program cards are right where you would expect to find a prayer book. So if you want to, listen, I mean, you can pick. It's Ma'ariv time now. Just say the names of the sponsors. I think Hashem will listen just the same. So speaking of which, it's now my great honor to introduce one of tonight's honorary chairs. This person is faculty and co-director of the Trans Halacha Project at Sfara and a Keshet Emeritus board member. Please welcome the amazing Rabbi Becky Silverstein.
I'm a little bit shorter than most people. Gotta find my notes here. There we go. And I'll just share that when I go on an airplane, I wear a T-shirt that says "Protect Trans Kids." And if anyone would like one, I'm happy to hook you up. If I had known when I went to rabbinical school that I would get to share a stage with Betty and Liz Glazer, I might have gone a little bit sooner. Good evening. What a blessing to be here with all of you. Really, what a blessing to be back in community, to get to look out and, when I'm not being blinded by the lights, to see friends and colleagues and students just surrounding me in what actually just feels like a big puddle of love. So thank you for that. We learn in the Talmud that the blessing that one might say when you see a large gathering of Jews is, "Blessed are you, the knower of secrets." And the Gemara adds, "For their minds differ one from the other, and their faces differ one from the other." And this blessing resonates for me in at least two ways. The first is the acknowledgement that in a large gathering of Jews, and I think actually even in a small one, it's impossible for us to know the hearts and minds of those with whom we are in conversation and community. In small conversations, that feels more possible, that's true. But in a room this large, how could I possibly know what each of you is holding? The second way it resonates is that the lack of ability to know that is actually framed as a blessing, as something worthy of uplifting that reflects the kedusha of this community, the holiness that is running through this room. And these things are true on any day, and they are especially true in times as painful as this one. Whatever it is that you are holding, that I know or that I don't know, that those sitting next to you or behind you or in front of you know or don't know, it is welcome here. And as you hopefully know, or as you hopefully knew when you came in and hopefully know by now, we're here to celebrate Keshet's work and to honor leaders who have demonstrated time and time again the power of courageous hearts in the face of adversity and injustice. We're here to honor Rabbi Daniel Bogard and Rabbi Karen Kriger Bogard, Maharat Rori Neiss and Russel Neiss, Dr. Jenny Siegel, and Michael W. Twitty. What an all-star group. Yeah. What an all-star group. Yeah, clap it up. And of course, tonight wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the generosity and support of everyone here, the host committee, the sponsors, the steadfast support of our donors. Thank you to each of you. To the dignitaries, the other rabbis in the room, and of course, the Newton Collaborative Jewish Campus. Thanks for envisioning this space and bringing us together here in particular. So let's clap those folks up as well. I've been involved with Keshet for over a decade now, and one of the reasons I stay connected is because of the ways in which Keshet's work is embedded in community, in meeting communities and people where they are, in transforming communities into places that celebrate a vast array of life experiences, and in pushing our community to hold the complexities of simply being human. And I'm so excited to join you in celebrating tonight's honorees. I skipped a page. Nope, a page wasn't printed. So let me just tell you a little bit. It's all good. Love to the fam. Let me just tell you a little bit about specifically why tonight, though, if I've been connected to Keshet for over a decade, not over 30 years, right? It's not because Michael Twitty is an exemplar to me about what it means to live life as you are and to invite other people into that life. It's not because Jenny Siegel welcomed me into the Jewish community at Smith College over 20 years ago and now makes trans lives better through medical access. It's not because Rory and Russell introduced me to deli roll on Shabbat afternoon. It's because they, along with the Bogards, love trans kids and trans people as much as I do. And it's because being here tonight is a celebration of everything that is good about Judaism, about Jewish tradition, and about what the Jewish community can bring out into the world. It is, in my mind, the greatest Kiddush Hashem, which I would colloquially translate as really good stuff. So thank you for being here. And I'll add to my list of accomplishments tonight, not only sharing a stage with Betty and Liz Glazer and this dream team of honorees, but getting to introduce Governor Maura Healey, who unfortunately, don't clap yet, unfortunately is not joining us in person, but wanted to send her regards via video.
Hi everyone, welcome to Outstanding. This is such an incredible event and an incredible organization. I know that these are very difficult times as well, and I know that people are grieving and scared. But when faced with tremendous challenges, I've seen how the Jewish community comes together and is there for one another. Keshet is no stranger to this work. Through your programming, the Jewish community in Massachusetts and nationwide has risen to defeat anti-trans bills, fight for marriage equality, and create safe, accepting places for our young people. I'm grateful for your leadership and the leadership of President and CEO Idit Klein. Over the years, Idit has grown Keshet from a small team in Boston to a national organization. She pushes the envelope with grace, with dignity, and with pride. And she brings hope to so many in Massachusetts and beyond. Please join me in welcoming Idit Klein.
Thank you. Good evening. So how awesome is it that we were just welcomed by Governor Maura Healey, the first openly lesbian governor of this state? And I have to say, when I rehearsed that in my mind, I kept wanting to call her Rabbi Governor Healey. I will have to ask her if that has ever happened. Thank you to each of you for being here tonight, each of you in the room, and all of you who are on Zoom all around the country and around the world. Thank you. Hine matov umanaim shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is, how deeply good it is for brothers and sisters and siblings to be together. I can't tell you how beautiful it is to look out on this community of LGBTQ Jews and allies, strong, vibrant, and whole. Over the past month, on days when I wept with my family in Israel and felt heavy with grief, I wondered, how can we come together to celebrate Keshet at Outstanding? But I didn't wonder for long, because the answer was so clear. As Liz said before, being in community is good for our souls. And the work of Keshet is fundamentally a project of hope and resilience. We always need hope and resilience, but we especially need it now. We come together to honor the work of Keshet, this work of building a world where every life is sacred. And we come together to celebrate our honorees who every day through their activism and leadership show us that life is holy, that each one of us deserves to fully inhabit all of who we are, without exception. So on this night, when connecting to hope feels especially important, I want to tell you two stories. First, let me take you back nearly 20 years ago, when marriage equality became the law of the land, not the law of the land, the law of the state here in Massachusetts in 2004. Opponents struck back immediately. With many of you here in this room tonight, Keshet led the Jewish community fight to preserve equal marriage. And initially, I could count on one hand the number of rabbis who were willing to publicly stand with us. Many told me they just weren't there yet, or that it felt too risky. They were worried they would receive pushback from their congregants. Remember, this was 2004. I'll never forget standing in front of the State House for hours and hours holding a large banner that said, "The Massachusetts Jewish community supports equal marriage." And at least a couple of times an hour, someone would come racing up to us and shout, "How dare you stand here with this sign? This isn't what Jews believe." And they were right. Back then, support for marriage equality was not the norm in Jewish life. But here we are, almost 20 years later, and frequently when I tell this story, do you know what people say? They say to me, "Really? Did that really happen? Was it really that bad?" And I need to remind them that, yes, it did happen, and yes, it really was that bad. But through hard work, through building relationships, things changed. And today, some find it hard to conceive of it ever being any different. Similarly, when Keshet first started doing education and training work in Jewish institutions, many rabbis, heads of day schools, and others would say to us, "Can you please just talk about the G and the L, just talk about sexual orientation? We're not ready for transgender." Today, most institutions contact us for trainings specifically to strengthen their understanding of trans identity and experience. Increasingly, our Jewish institutional leaders are understanding that in this time of unprecedented assault on LGBTQ rights, primarily targeting trans kids, in this time, the message to LGBTQ Jews needs to be clear. The message needs to be, no matter what you may hear at your state house or from certain legislators in Congress, here in your Jewish community, you are seen, you are loved, you are exactly who you need to be. I think often of a rabbi, Rabbi Mark Kaiserman of the Reform Temple of Forest Hills in Queens. He reached out to us for support when he had a sense that a 6th grader was getting ready to come out as trans. He wanted to be sure that his Hebrew school would be ready to support and fully embrace her. So we led a series of trainings with Rabbi Kaiserman and his staff and a workshop with his 6th graders. And then just a few days later, he walked into class and he saw a hand in the air. And so he called on the student. And the kid said, "I just want everyone to know that from now on, I'm using she, her pronouns." And without missing a beat, the rabbi called out, "Mazal Tov," and the whole class cheered. Now, not long ago, this would have been hard to imagine, and I wish I could say that it is the norm today, but it's not yet. But with each of you as our partners, we are getting there. Today, many congregational rabbis and leaders of other Jewish communities also know that it's not enough to send an internal message of support. They must use their power to fight against these hateful assaults on our rights. So we are seeing the phenomenal growth of our Thrive Coalition, which mobilizes Jewish communities nationwide to fight back against the attacks on the rights of trans kids. In just over 1 year, more than 230 national, regional, and local Jewish institutions have joined Thrive. With Keshet staff on the ground in key states, including Florida and Texas, we are making sure that people of all ages, teens, parents, rabbis, federation leaders, are standing up as Jews to oppose dangerous legislation and fight for equality. That work is happening because of each one of you here tonight and on Zoom. We literally couldn't do it without you. Thank you. I want to thank our honorary chairs for this evening, Gina Green, Jennifer Levi, and Rabbi Becky Silverstein and Naomi Sobel. Thank you to our generous sponsors and our incredible host committee. Thank you to everyone who is here. We also couldn't do this work without our brilliant, dedicated board, led by our extraordinary chair, Ari Kristen, and our emeritus board, whose Keshet involvement continues years after their board service. Thank you for being here tonight and for all you do for Keshet. And now, I'd like to invite our staff who are here tonight to rise. I mean, some of you might already be standing because there aren't enough chairs, but please rise. And to the over 25 other Keshet staff who are not here, but who are around the country participating via Zoom, this is for you too. Thank you. This work is hope-centered, and we bring a lot of joy to it at Keshet, but it is also hard. I am so grateful to each of you for bringing your full hearts to this work and making a difference every day. I want to give a special thank you to our development, communications, and data teams who made tonight possible. And I want to particularly acknowledge Shauna Cohen, Senior Philanthropy Officer, and Ilana Steinloff-Ohl, Annual Giving and Events Manager, whose creativity and commitment you see all around you. At Keshet, we talk a lot about how as queer Jews, we come from people with resilience and imagination. The resilience to endure and thrive, and the imagination to see a better world. Just as there are people who cannot imagine a time when Massachusetts Jews didn't support marriage equality, I am so sure that we will live to see the day when assaults on trans kids are an inconceivable relic of the past. There is so much we can imagine together. There is so much work to do together. Thank you for being a part of our project of hope to build the world as it should be. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is, how deeply good it is for brothers, sisters, and siblings to be together. Thank you. And now I am so excited to introduce to you two Keshet teens, Willow and Brayden.
It is a really tough time to be like a queer person, to be a Jew in the United States. It's really scary. Like, there's a lot of hate, there's a lot of like political rhetoric spreading about trans people and queer people and like Judaism, and it's kind of terrifying, and it's so encouraging and relieving to know that like we're not the only ones fighting for ourselves, that we have people like fighting right beside us. I've really had the opportunity to like grow into myself through Shabbatim, and it's really cool to be able to sort of pass that on, like be the like confident trans person, like the confident queer Jew that I saw in other people.
This was just my first year, and I was really nervous coming in. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if I'd make connections, but easily I made connections. I found a community. Being a part of this community of Jewish queers, I have felt more of a sense of belonging with my Jewish identity and my queer identity, and understood that I'm not alone. Other people feel the exact same way that I do. Having that support network here with Keshet, and knowing that I can reach out to any of the staff members or any of the friends that I've met here really helps. Because of the Shabbaton, I learned that Judaism is about community. It's about being with others and not just following the traditions that you think you should follow, but about being with one another.
It's really amazing to hear about the work that Keshet does and hearing from Willow and Brayden about their personal experiences with Keshet, which brings me back to the purpose of tonight. As you all know, we're here tonight to raise crucial funds for Keshet's life-affirming and life-saving work. And I know you all know about the work. We're going to hear more about the work tonight and why we need to raise $36,000 more tonight to hit, yes, you can woo, yeah, to hit our $210,000 goal. So when you feel inspired, there are 3 ways to donate tonight, and we're going to be showing you how it goes on a screen throughout the evening. Okay, so for your name to show up on the screen, you can donate on your phone, which is amazing. Like, I just love the idea. I mean, I know I sound like I'm 1,000 right now in saying this, but like, you can get it done on your phone, which I think is just fantastic. It's like running errands. You're just sitting here and you can get it done. So there are QR codes that you can scan, which are on your program cards in front of you in the seat pockets. So as you're praying from them, you can also scan the QR code and donate. You can also text the word outstanding in all caps. I'm not sure if it has to be in all caps, but you can do it in all caps because all caps are fun, okay? You can do outstanding. You text outstanding to 44321 tonight. And if you do that, that's going to help us hit our goal of $210,000 for Keshet's transformative work. Or you can use the donation envelopes behind your name tag to donate or to make a pledge. I'm not sure that I have a donation envelope with me, but we can do some improv, okay? So here's my donation envelope. You can look inside your name tag. Yes, so great, thank you. Okay, I don't even have to do improv. So if you look inside your name tag, okay, then you see the envelope, and you can put your donation info or a check right in the envelope, and you hand it to the friendly Keshet people walking around with the baskets, and their name tags are marked with staff. They're hot pink baskets. That was the color of my bat mitzvah, in addition to teal, and so you can remember it that way. Just feel like you're in 1991 at Liz's Invitational. Okay, the theme was tennis. Just tennis, you know? Honestly, the first time I ever bombed was my bat mitzvah, because let me tell you this, and I'll just do this while we're collecting and while you're donating. Feel free, use the QR code 44321 and text the word outstanding. But my bat mitzvah speech, so I went, as I told you, I went to Orthodox day school, but I went to a conservative synagogue, and my parents knew a lot less than everybody I went to school with. And everybody who I was in school with had like these full Jewish libraries at home, and they could peruse all these books. We had one book. It was called Lilmod Ulelamed. I think it's a great book, but it's basically a pamphlet the size of a Babysitter's Club novel. And that was what I had to draw from to write my bat mitzvah speech. And I don't know if you've ever done this, like this thing where it's like, is it plagiarizing if you're writing it with a thesaurus right next to you? And so I was writing my bat mitzvah speech, and it's like, if it said thought, I said, comprehended, or uttered was spoke, or whatever. And I delivered this thing. I was hanging my head in shame during delivering the speech. And I know that it was such a wash because even the video guy who was videoing my bat mitzvah started testing the zoom function on his lens, like during when I was giving the speech. So anyway, great. That was my bat mitzvah, pink and teal. The baskets are pink, is my point, okay? So you can donate in a pink basket. I think you all know how to do it. Great. And I told the Keshet staff that I love fundraising. I do love fundraising, okay? Especially when it's an organization that does the things that I wish I had when I was a kid, okay? Yes, totally. This is an amazing organization. And I said before, and I'll say it again, I really do think that now is the exact right time. I think it's the most crucial time in our lifetimes to donate to Jewish organizations and to Keshet in particular. I grew up, I'm the daughter of parents who are children of Holocaust survivors. 4 out of 4 grandparents survived the Holocaust. And my maternal grandparents hid. That's how they survived. And I always think about that. Sorry. Oh, this just in. We've raised $16,000 so far. Okay, which means we have $20,000 to go. Okay? So $20,000 more dollars to get to the $210,000 tonight. Okay? So envelopes, pink, like my bat mitzvah, text outstanding to 44321. So I was saying, my grandparents were all Holocaust survivors, and my maternal grandparents hid, and that is how they survived the Holocaust. And I grew up because my parents inherited their parents' trauma, that my parents were like, listen, keep a low profile, don't make yourself on the cover of the newspaper. Basically, hide if you can. And I really disagree with that element that my parents handed down to me, because I'm like, what is the point of my grandparents surviving by way of hiding if I have to hide for the rest of my life? And so I think about Keshet's mission to allow youth, teens, individuals to be their full, authentic selves, and how important that is to be able to do that and to be Jewish. So I think what we're doing is raising money for an amazing organization and an amazing cause. So I do love fundraising. I can't wait to tell you more about the specific impact of your gift a little later on in the night. But for now, I'm going to invite the great Idit Klein back up to present the Landres Courage for Dignity and Hacham Lev Awards.
Thank you, Liz. So those of you who know me know that it is really tough for me to speak briefly about people who inspire me, or speak briefly, period. But we have invited the honorees to be in conversation with one another this evening, to honor each other through their words and perspective. So I have no choice but to be brief. So I will be heartfelt but succinct as I invite our honorees to the stage and present the awards. First, I'm honored to recognize Rabbi Daniel Bogard and Rabbi Karen Kriger Bogard. Daniel and Karen, as rabbis, community leaders, and most profoundly as parents, you model for all of us in the Jewish community how to fight for our kids. You founded Camp Indigo Point, a camp for trans, gender expansive, and LGBTQ+ kids. And you lead interfaith efforts in Missouri to defeat anti-LGBTQ bills. In all you do, you exemplify courage and persistence. Daniel and Karen, on behalf of Keshet, for your dedication, brave work, and efforts to build a more just world, I am honored to present you with the Landres Courage for Dignity Award in recognition of your public courage as allies in advancing justice for LGBTQ people. Rori and Russel, you two lead the way for the Jewish community in advocating for LGBTQ inclusion and against anti-trans legislation in Missouri and around the country. You have testified publicly, both in Jefferson City, Missouri and Washington, D.C., together with your 12-year-old son about the experiences of trans youth and the impact of hateful laws. You bring a proud, unequivocally Jewish voice into a space very much in need of faith community voices that are pro-equality. In all you do, you exemplify courage and persistence. Rori and Russel, on behalf of Keshet, for your dedication, brave work, and efforts to build a more just world, I am honored to present you with the Landres Courage for Dignity Award. Jenny, you are being honored with the Keshet Hacham Lev Award, Hachamat Lev for you. In the Torah, the concept of Hacham Lev suggests that any enormous task, any holy work, requires both skill and spirit, head and heart. You bring the wisdom of both head and heart to your work as the medical director of the Transgender Health Program at MGH and to your nationally recognized leadership for gender-affirming healthcare. As a patient of yours said, I have seen many, many doctors in the Boston area, and only a handful stand out as exceptional people and care providers, and Dr. Siegel is one. Put simply, if everyone had a doctor like Dr. Siegel, we would all be healthier, happier, and more well. You are a true Hachamat Lev. Jenny, on behalf of Keshet, for bringing head and heart so fully to advocate for and strengthen trans healthcare, and for all you do to build a more just world. I am honored to present you with the Keshet Hachamat Lev Award. Did I do succinct? All right. I am now delighted to invite my friend Nate Looney to the stage. Nate will moderate a conversation with our honorees about the healthcare, spiritual, and legislative dimensions of trans rights. Nate is a close partner of Keshet, serving as the Jedi Director of Community Safety and Belonging at Jewish Federations of North America. He is also a social entrepreneur, a diversity strategist, a U.S. Army veteran, and an urban farmer, and somehow has the time to be here. Nate, please join us. We're delighted to have you with us.
Thank you, Idit. And a huge mazal tov to you all. I feel so honored to be able to sit here with you. So we're going to dive right on in. So this first question is for everyone, and you can feel free to chime in as you feel so inspired. What inspires you to fight for trans liberation through so many avenues? Spiritual, medical, legal. Daniel, Karen, Rory and Russell, and Jenny, you each work in somewhat different spheres, yet you all make tremendous impact. And so I'd love to hear what moves you to take on this work. Don't be shy.
They just elected me up here. The truth is, I've been struggling with this question because for those of us, 4 of us here live in the state of Missouri, and it's hard to put into words what that experience has been like, to see the constant attack against our families, the children in our communities, the people that we love, the people who we care about. And I don't know how we could have done anything else. That's the honest truth. It feels like the bare minimum. I mean, when we have sat there seeing those who are running for governor stand up to testify. I mean, you all just had the first queer governor give a welcome here in Massachusetts. We have our primary leader for governor in Missouri standing up to testify against trans kids at the first hearing that we had last year. So I don't feel like what we're doing is particularly noteworthy. I think it's just the bare minimum of what needs to happen when everything feels on the line.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, I'll add a little bit, I guess. It might be parochial, but again, this thing where he said there's nothing else I could imagine. I mean, I'm doing this for my kid. I'm doing this for all my kids. I'm doing this for a world in which I want everyone's kid to be loved and affirmed for who they are, stop, period, end of discussion. And in some ways, right, like, I can't imagine any other parent, right? It's sort of, sometimes I have parents come over like, oh, you're so brave, you're so this. And I'm like, no, it's like any one of us, hopefully, who is a parent, like, knows what you would do for your kid. And like, the truth of the matter is, it's I think as Rory said, it's like, it's not always easy, but it's very obvious, right? It's very obvious. Like, this is what just has to be done. And so we do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, this is the only thing the Missouri legislature did last year, was attack trans kids. I think it's important to note that they did not accomplish a single other piece of legislation besides this attack against our families, our children, and people that we love. And kind of as they said, as a parent, you know, we want to protect our kids. We want to protect all kids. And I think as a rabbi, it extends to not just saying this, but acting it and going and doing the work. It's not enough just to say, you know, to my kid or to other kids, I love you, I see you, I accept you, but you have to walk the walk too, and I think they see that as well. And I, again, also don't feel like we really had a choice.
Echoing very much what my friends who have become family said, that the truth of it is, when you have a trans kid and you live in a red state, you just don't get to quit. It's just not an option. But the other piece for me, I think, is that I grew up in a synagogue where my rabbi was the first woman rabbi in St. Louis, and she was officiating same-gender weddings in 1982. I grew up going to a Shabbat school that Davka made sure that there were always LGBT teachers in that school so that a new generation of kids would grow up with a new image of what the world could be. I grew up believing that the work of a congregation and the work of a rabbi was to bring repair to the world, whether it is in individual lives or whether it is showing up. I think we were in Jeff City 12 times this last session. Session is like 4 months, and we were there 12 times.
And it's 2 hours away.
And it's 2 hours away, as Karen says. And they hold those hearings at 8 a.m. and they announce them 25 hours before, so you're leaving at 5:30. And over and over and over again, we packed that room. And by we, I don't just mean activists standing up for the trans community. I mean the Jewish community of St. Louis packed that room.
Again, I'm so honored to be able to join your family here a little bit, even though my story is a bit different, and even though where I'll start sounds far from trans liberation, it's not actually that much. So even though I currently live in the blessed blue state of Massachusetts and will fully recognize that privilege and just honor the work that you're all doing that you just referenced, I grew up in the red state of North Dakota as somebody who really didn't fit in and who was one of a couple of Jewish kids in the whole state who got driven back and forth over an hour to religious school every week because my parents felt that Jewish values were super important. And that matters, even though I have to echo Liz Glazer in saying I really wish I would have had Keshet as a kid because I probably would have been a happier kid, but I did really get raised with the value of repair and tikkun olam and knew that that was what I needed to do in my work. And so when I ultimately found my professional path and went to med school, I was the kid who was writing, I'm going to med school to do tikkun olam on my essay, and that has really been my North Star throughout. So I feel very lucky in some ways because for me, coming to this work has been from a place of blessing and alignment with my values. And it's just crushing to see that my community, our communities, our families are the ones that need those values brought to them. But in some ways, it's such a blessing to be able to bring your values to work and to be able to do, as you've all said, just what needs to happen because it's what matters. It's what matters for you, your community. And I think in my case, I'm just surrounded by patients and families who welcome me into their lives and into their stories, and you do right by people. That's what we're here to do. So I feel very lucky to be able to do it and to sit with all of you.
Thank you. You know, as you each shared, it reminded me of something back from a previous life when I was in the military, and I'd be in uniform, and people would come up to me and say, "Thank you for your service," and I'd be like, "What are you thanking me for? This is what I'm doing. This is what I do." And what I've heard from each one of you is selfless service. And so I will say it, thank you for your service. So our second question is a two-part question. And given our current landscape and everything that's going on, as you look out on the political landscape and with continued attacks on the rights and dignity of trans youth, where do you find hope? And what do you seek from our Jewish community?
I'll take it. I'll take it.
We do this, the four of us, all the time. You should know this.
When our kid first came out to us 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Sorry, don't let me. I can't count. I remember we had the school had some learning to do. The Jewish day school that we're a part of had some learning to do. And they did the work. Keshet helped with the work. Like, there was a lot of work to be done. And you know, and I can say now that the school is fabulous, is spectacular. So much so, right, that the board this year noted, as sort of like when bills were coming up in the State House, the school board gave permission for a teacher or an administrator to come and give testimony on behalf of the school, on behalf of their students. And that's not a small thing, right? Again, the 2-hour commute, the giving up the time, all that other stuff. But also, it's a short time period also. I mean, this is the thing we talk about too, right? Like, they went from nothing to be total and complete advocates. And the other piece, I'll leave it there, because I'll give space for other people. But that's one of the things that really gives me hope. There's real growth and real places, and with not a lot of work, with not a lot of pushing, there's a lot of benefit that can come easily.
So our first year at this same school, our kids all go to the same school as well.
They're all really good friends.
And they're all really good friends. Our first year at this school was what you were talking about. They held a parent meeting because they wanted to do this work, and they wanted to tell all of us about the work. And I went to make sure that everyone was supported and loved and made, like, as any parent would do, but also as an advocate for this. My child had not transitioned yet, but we thought we were probably on that path. And it was like the most beautiful experience that I wasn't needed for that role in this school anymore. Everyone was accepting and loving, and so that gave me a lot of hope. It also let me know that was the right place for us to send our kids to school. We celebrate in our family the day that our son transitioned, and the rabbi at the school knit him a trans kippah. And that also just gives me hope that there are people out there that love our families, that love our kids like we love our kids, and that they also want them to feel just as loved and accepted as they should feel everywhere that they go. So those are two really hopeful moments.
So Rory teases me about this. I find hope very hard. The sum total of this legislative war that is being waged on our children and on our families, it just makes hope in almost any aspect of life incredibly difficult. But I'm going to echo these people that the place that hope comes from is just the incredible support of our Jewish community. So I want to tell two short anecdotes. The first is one of these morning hearings that we were in Jeff City for, that we'd left at 5:30, that it was an 8 a.m. hearing, that had lasted till forever, and we all get out exhausted, and we gather around all the activists who had been there to take a group picture. And just on a whim, I shouted out, "Okay, Jewish community, stay here for the picture." There were, I kid you not, like 4 people who walked away from this group, including Reverend Mike Angel, who's since moved on from St. Louis, an amazing guy who came and took the camera, and he said, "Well, I guess I'll be the photographer Goy." But the other anecdote I want to share is, so 2 years ago, we started a camp for queer kids, for LGBTQ kids, particularly for trans and gender expansive kids. And we thought we were going to get, I don't know, 15, 20 kids from around St. Louis. And we just put a post up on Facebook, and we filled every single one of those bunks within a few weeks. We had to go count the number of beds there were for kids to be there. So we had 97 kids from 27 states our first year. And that's not even the anecdote yet. The piece I wanted to share is we gave unlimited scholarships, and the way we were able to do that is because the rabbis of America, this is not a Jewish camp, but the rabbis of America opened up their checkbooks and paid for all of those scholarships.
That was really beautifully said. I always let Daniel go first because I always worry that I have to fix it afterwards.
I should have learned that lesson, Rory.
The reality is that it's hard. I do want to really emphasize that. It is hard, and this past year was probably the hardest one that we had ever faced. I had never missed a hearing before this year, and there were points this year that I just said, I can't go back into that building. And what I saw when I said that was a whole community of people, our Jewish community and beyond, who said to me, "That's okay, you can sit this out, we've got it now." And we saw Christian clergy in particular who looked at the stories that Daniel told and said, "Wow, we gotta step it up," who just felt like embarrassed that their communities weren't doing as much, and who really mobilized. Friends who said, "I don't know that I can testify because I don't know that I have as much to say, but I will drive you because that's exhausting." We had friends who showed up in Jefferson City who had baked cookies to just give out to the people who were there for hours and hours. We saw the community learn what it was to do the work in the full complexity of every piece of the puzzle. And I found hope in that. But they did the work, and in that, they also changed the narrative. So much of the narrative that we were hearing in Jefferson City was a narrative saying, you're supposed to be afraid of trans kids. And the more people showed up and the more they helped us bring our kids and the more that we all were able to make that place a safe place for kids. It's weird. I have trouble going in. My kids love going to Jefferson City. They do, because the legislators give them candy. They get mailed a box at the end of like a thank you gifts. I think they've gotten t-shirts and I don't even know all this stuff. They have been embraced because people have recognized what it's meant. And I just want to really emphasize that we've changed minds. We weren't able to stop the bills in Missouri. The laws passed, but we made it really hard for them to pass it. And we made a whole bunch of people who sponsored the bills not sponsor them the next year. We made a whole bunch of people who had been openly supportive suddenly sit the vote out. And we made a whole bunch of people lose a whole lot of sleep, even when they felt pressured into that vote. And so we didn't change the laws this year, but the trajectory is moving. And I believe what Idit said, that we're going to see a time when we're going to look back and think, I can't believe we even talked about this.
I just want to say that one of the things that gives me hope is just sitting here with you all and seeing the ways in which you as individuals and families and bringing your own faith communities to this work matters, and that matters in general, but I think it matters because from a healthcare perspective, this has been a really hard time, and the narrative that we deal with a lot is that you're a bad doctor and you're doing bad things, and even here in Massachusetts, we get a fair amount of hate efforts and hate mail, and I can't even imagine what goes on in states a little farther south from here. And we're often at a point where we really want to focus on taking care of the people that we need to take care of. So to know that there is such community and such effort and such coming together outside of the healthcare realm to stand up against all of this terrible, terrible, non-evidence-based, just politically motivated legislation. You all know this as much better than I do. It just means a ton. So I wanted to say that first. And then I just wanted to say I am so blessed to get so much hope from others within the medical and healthcare community. And so just to say a couple quick things. One is that there are this is just not work that I do alone, even in the least. I'm a tiny speck, and there's others in this room and on the Zoom and connected to me and connected to others all over the place without whom we couldn't do anything. And so I just want to take a moment to acknowledge my teams, the teams of people who have taught me, and all of those individuals doing this work quietly and with heart and with just true care, without which this couldn't happen. And I'm so blessed to watch that on a daily basis. So thank you. And the other things that give me hope is, some of the people in this room here have been at a lot of conferences with me lately. This is the season of transgender health conferences, so we've been all over the place. And to see the number of people that are coming together, that are grappling with this, that are standing up and saying, I want to be part of the solution. The number of people who are calling us to get trained to say, I want to be able to take care of trans and gender diverse people of all ages thoughtfully and safely as part of their general whole human care because we're people, is incredibly motivating. And the last thing just to say is, what privilege do I have to just witness hope on a just day-to-day basis, like walking in the exam rooms with me in the clinic. I see people's families and chosen families and loved ones coming together, and I see individuals being so creative and so passionate and so just, not willing to be knocked down by the world that we're living in right now. And that is, there's things I do and I have a role to play in those rooms, but I get to take a lot in too, and I get a lot of hope from that.
Thank you all. I'll say before we take our seats, as someone that came of age as a trans person over 20 years ago, y'all give me hope. Because 20 years ago, parents weren't exactly going to bat the way that you all are. So you give me hope. So with that, mazal tov.
Give it up. Yes, absolutely. Truly such an inspiring panel. And I feel so grateful to be in the room and to be inspired and such messages of hope. Thank you to Daniel, to Karen, to Russell, to Rory, and to Jenny for all of your work for the LGBTQ plus equality in our community, truly. As I mentioned earlier, I really do love fundraising. I love fundraising, especially for an organization that I care so genuinely and so deeply about. And as I was listening to the messages that our panelists were speaking about hope, I kept thinking about how sometimes when I'm out in the world, especially now, I don't feel all of that hope. But when I'm here and tonight and listening to them, I do. And the thing is that donating is the way that we strengthen this organization, that we strengthen Keshet, and that we can allow ourselves to be in rooms like this and to feel that hope, okay? So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what the gifts that you can make can actually buy from Keshet. So a gift, for example, of $3,600 ensures that one queer Jewish teen can have a life-affirming and possibly life-saving experience at a Keshet Shabbaton at no cost to their family. I love being able to tell you that. I love being able to tell you that a gift of $10,000 pays for staff and for leaders of Jewish community institutions that reach tens of thousands of community members to participate in a year of LGBTQ equality training through the Keshet Shivyon Equality Project. And I love sharing that for $25,000, you can help save the moral soul of our most regressive states, just like we heard about. Through Keshet's community mobilizing campaigns that galvanize Jews to fight back against the attacks on our rights and especially attacks on trans kids. So just as Keshet mobilized more than 70% of Jewish institutions to fight for trans rights, we're taking that energy and that strategy to Florida, and we're taking it to Texas, yes, to fight back on the assault of our rights and our dignity. I know it's weird to clap on then I say assault. Okay, but I understand your meaning. Tonight, we need to raise $36,000 to hit our goal. I don't know if we're showing the thermometer. I do know from checking that we're doing very well, so thank you all for donating and keep doing so. Again, 44321, text the word outstanding or the envelopes, pink, bat mitzvah, you remember. Please help us cross that finish line. Look at how we're doing on your phones. You can see that progress. And to donate toward the campaign, you can text, you can use the QR code, you can fill out the remit envelope. And while you're thinking about your gift, please, I invite you to turn your attention to the video screen and to meet two more Keshet teens, Rivka and Elliot.
Here at Keshet, unlike any other space in my life that I've been in, I can be fully myself without having to filter any part of me. I was really struggling with my Judaism and my queerness and kind of like trying to figure out how they both went together. I thought it was a paradox. And I was thinking of leaving the Jewish community because I couldn't find a space where I was fully supported, accepted, validated, and celebrated. And I came to Keshet and my mind was blown. I realized for the first time in my life that I can be both queer and Jewish, and I didn't have to choose between the two. I realized that human connection and just finding friends and seeking community is what is best for my mental health. It's a community full of love and full of warmth. Keshet has provided me the community I needed to become who I am today.
My first Shabbaton, I was like 13, and it was very overwhelming and scary, but it was the first time I met queer Jews that weren't me also, which was huge. And it was the first time ever meeting a trans rabbi. That was also really huge for me. It was really the first time I saw like older kids than me, and I realized like that was like the person I wanted to be. And that's what's kept me coming back. This is the only space where I get to be queer and Jewish, and it's not, oh yeah, I'm a Jew and I'm queer. It's not, I'm queer and I'm Jewish. It's, I'm queer and Jewish, and they're just together. You know what I mean? They don't have to be separated. One doesn't have to be put up above the other. Like, they just exist together and cohesively here. I've made it a huge priority for me this Shabbaton to reach out to the younger kids and make sure they're participating and having a good time and feel like they're making a connection. Keshet provides a space for me to become more confident in my identities. And when I'm confident in my identities, that is what's gonna help me be more confident in just like everything else, really.
And I'm going to invite Idit Klein back on stage. Give it up for Idit.
So I am back with a final set of succinct but most heartfelt words. Now for Michael W. Twitty. Michael is a groundbreaking culinary historian and educator, a writer and a truth teller. In his award-winning book, Kosher Soul, The Faith and Food Journey of an African-American Jew, Michael writes, "My greatest hope comes from the ingredients that Blacks and Jews bring to the table. I am the first to admit we are an incredibly exhausting set of people. We talk about the food we had before and the food we are going to eat next while eating the meal at hand. We beg of our loved ones to partake in food as if we actually need to eat our oppression." And he continues, "Still, there is a lot of memory in our heads and on our tables, lots of love from parent to child, sighs of security. When we realize our menus translate our means of survival across millennia. It's hard to imagine a passage that more powerfully encapsulates head and heart. And these are just a few of the thousands and thousands of insights into peoplehood, history, and social change that you have gifted the world through your words. Michael, on behalf of Keshet, for your thought leadership, your creative contributions to Black, queer, and Jewish public life, and all you do to build a more just world. It is my honor to present you with the Keshet Hacham Lev Award." It's now my true delight to invite to the stage my friend and Keshet youth leader, Iz Perlman, to talk together with Michael. Iz Perlman is an Asian American trans Jew currently serving as Keshet's New York City youth engagement intern. Please welcome Iz and Michael for a conversation between generations about queer Jews of color, Torah, and hope.
First, I just want to say what an absolute blessing and honor it is to be up here with you today. I've been involved with Keshet for several years now, and one of the greatest gifts that time and that work has given me is being able to meet other queer and trans Jewish adults of color who continue to serve as reminders that we will persist and we will grow up and we will get to be people with beautiful and fulfilling lives. So thank you deeply for being here today. I also want to express my gratitude and congratulations for Kosher Soul. I cannot even begin to articulate how exciting it is to have a voice like yours in Jewish spaces. I was in a Judaica store today, and just seeing the cover with your face on it reminded me that there are people like me and that my community is everywhere, even when it feels like we do not belong. You are a significant reminder that we not only belong, we are a vital part of Jewish life. Thank you.
It's I'm more emotional than I thought I would be. First of all, because at this moment we're the face of Yahudut. And some people can't conceive of that. Right, left, center, but we are. And we don't have a single Jew to waste. Not one. And it's all of us. Kol echad. We don't have a single Jew to waste. On Sukkot, you have the lulav, the etrog, the hadassim, the aravim, right? Mm-hmm. And we're taught that the whole midrash about how some have nothing to offer, but also have all of it all. But if you don't have all of the pieces, you don't have a community. The same thing goes, that whole metaphor is repeated over and over and over again with Chazal, right, the rabbis and other teachers. If you don't have all the pieces, you're not whole, you're not complete. Without us, the community is not complete. There are people who think they can throw us away. Even today, part of the reason why I'm emotional, to be honest with you, is because, I expanded my base on social media. That's how the cooking gene came to be. And people were kind of shocked when I got up on a stage in Manhattan and won for writing in the book of the year, first black author to do so, James Beard. But I said a Shehechianu. And I said, wait a minute. He's mishpacha? And the first person to get up and stand and cheer for me was my good friend Andrew Zimmern. I'm like, yeah, mishpacha. Don't I look like mishpacha? And so, but in social media, people can be very unkind. Mm-hmm. Even today, I saw a post about two brothers, two African-American gay men who got married. And someone said something to the effect of, they said, this is where our genocide starts. And I'm just like, okay, hold up. As someone from the Washington, D.C. area, who is now an old man, you know why I'm an old man? 3 reasons. Intercommunity violence, HIV/AIDS, and incarceration. That makes me a black man, a black boy that was born in D.C., who survived the 40-something, an old man. I've outlived most black boys. Born in D.C., and we're talking about 7 to 70s until now, okay? So when you say that 2 successful, peace-loving, good, honest people are genocide, that is murder to our souls. But if you notice in the cover of Kosher Soul, there's several chalot. One is, now next time I promise you, I'll make a Philadelphia pride flag challah. But we had no time. It was like, we had to have a African liberation challah, black, red, and green. We had a Talit challah, blue and white. We had a challah that was rainbow. We had challah with sprinkles, black, green, blue, white. What does that teach you? You can't have a challah without a braid. They have to be together. Without that, there's no challah. There's no, all the pieces aren't together. And that's where I want us to be. Judaism has taught me and has taught you, we share a lot. Just in 10 minutes talking, we share so much, and I'm so proud of you because you have a wisdom that it takes some of us years to get. And in your thriving, not just survival, we need to make that word common, thriving. I can see we're in good hands, but it's the present and the future. But we have to be willing to confess that we have to be a braid. We have to promote baseless love among our people so that we don't come to our end. Thank you.
I feel like you've given me so much wisdom already in the 30 minutes that we've gotten to chat since I came here, but I wanted to ask if you could share any lessons, any Torah for us, this generation of queer and trans Jews of color. We are growing up in a very different Jewish space that you and those like you paved the way for. What lessons would you like to share with us?
So in Kosher Soul, I have a whole letter that I wrote my students, kind of post. I was a Hebrew school teacher for 15 years. I was hoping I was going to get an email saying, "You've won the Nobel Peace Prize for teaching 7th grade Hebrew school. Orthodox, conservative, reform, reconstructionist, and renewal." But I guess I can take this beautiful award as well. But the gray hairs, I mean, man, it's for real. One of my students here tonight, Ryan, and his boyfriend, and I'm like, wow. He was the first class that I taught openly gay. Even though I came out 30 years ago in my school newspaper. But I kind of figured out that walking in the door, Black and Jewish was enough. That first day of being a Hebrew school teacher, as opposed to, hey, I'm Black, gay, Jewish, and male. Welcome to the jungle. That wasn't gonna happen. So it took me a long time to come to that. But, in Kosher Soul, I have a whole chapter. It's a letter to my former students. And this is the essence of that chapter. Basically, I talk about how, when you are Black, you say, who your kinfolk. When you are Jewish, you say, who's your mishpacha. When you are queer, you say, are they family? This is family, it's Michael family, right? And family doesn't just mean you have to be LGBT, you can be an ally as well, queer and adjacent. And so I talk about how it's up to y'all to make your own traditions. There is nothing. We would not exist if we didn't create anew. Every generation has to create anew. That's the part they don't tell you in Hebrew school. I taught my kids that. I don't know if anybody taught their kids that. But it's up to you to make a new set of minhagim, a new set of midrashim in the next generation. It's right now, so that you can be part of this flow of not only conversation, but of tradition. Because when you make tradition, and you make it so that never again will we ever leave anybody out. Never again can we say, these people don't exist in a Jewish framework. You know what that means? That means you set a precedent. And once a precedent has been set in Judaism, it stays. Here's the part at the end that I talked about. So there's this beautiful midrash, and being a, Black, fat, gay, Jewish Southern man, I swear I'm not a phoenix or a dragon. There are many of us. This midrash spoke to me. So there's this. The rabbis say that when Hashem, he, she, it made the creation, that the birds are really angry, because the birds were like, hey, you made these beautiful giraffes and lions and elephants and whales and dolphins and fish, all different colors, and you made all these beautiful things of creation. And the Adam creature is going to look at these creatures and have respect for you, but then they're going to look at us and these stupid birds with their stupid feathers, and some of us can't even fly. And so we make awkward noises, and we just whatever. And Hashem says to the birds, look, of all my creations that I made, many of you can migrate. Some of you can fly, some of you can swim. And when the Adam creature wakes up, the Adam creature will know and understand that of all the creation, you can come talk to me in heaven. And so every morning when you wake up and you hear the birds singing, it's the birds davening, saying the bracha, thank you, Hashem, for making me as I was created. Thank you for making me different. Thank you for making me the way you made nothing else in the universe. And that's the bracha that I want you all to possess. Don't let anybody take that from you. And then it's a blessing to be different. It's a blessing to maintain and hold space for different spiritual energies, for different forms of being, for different gender expressions, for all of it. You know, it was James Baldwin that got me. I'm glad that pop culture informs my life. And I was really glad to be a part of a generation that had a lot of documentaries. And there's this famous documentary about James Baldwin where the British host says, you're black, you're homosexual, you're poor, you grew up poor, black, homosexual. So many horrible things, and James Baldwin says, no. I hit the jackpot. I'm outrageous and I love it. And that changed my life. So did the moment in Torch Song Trilogy, showing my age, when Harvey Fierstein says Kaddish for his past lover. That shook me. And he says he refused to stop saying Kaddish for him. That's before, I had these other roles in my life, identities in my life. But I understood, I had to find out what that prayer was, why he was doing it, and what that scene meant. I mean, I was like 12. But it made me feel a sense of a conviction to being human. Tell these people in Missouri, please, you have no right. You wanted to sell Dred Scott and his wife down the river. You have no right. You said that a black person was 3/5 of a human being. You have no right. Tell them people in Missouri that I said this. They are blessed to be in a country where they are happily contaminated with the contributions, with the values, with the beauty and the struggles and the earned soul credit of all of God's people. And if you don't want that, you have forfeited the best part of being an American. Because to be an American is to absorb all of the beauty and all of the strength that this lovely person and other people like them have to offer. So if you want to give up on America that way, I turn it back on them. Because people like me are tired of hearing that jingoism. So we say, okay, I'll take it. Because I know from the day that my ancestors arrived here as enslaved people, South Carolina and Virginia, in the 1700s, from the first moment that African died, it was in this soil. Like August Wilson said, I was an American. And therefore, everything that I've done and everything my people have done, and our people have done, whoever your people may be, has contributed something so great and so beautiful that it might just hide the scars, but only if we all accept that we are all Americans and all human beings and all B'Tselem Elohim. Tell them in Missouri, tell them that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And for my last question, I just want to also reiterate what you were saying about what beautiful gifts we have to gift the Jewish community. What a gift it is that the Jewish world gets to have people like you and people like me who bring our backgrounds and show that there are so many ways to be Jewish and all of them are so sacred and holy. I want to ask, I think about a lot is, as somebody who holds so many identities that especially right now, as always in American culture, are villainized, are demonized, it is very difficult to look at those set of identities and the ways that they intersect and find hope and joy, but you do and we do, and it is vital. So what is it that keeps you hopeful in times of adversity, which is now and always, considering the identities that we hold, what brings you joy?
You know what? The word intersectional, thank you, Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw, has come up a lot as it's been weaponized in the recent month. It's not a problem. Everybody in this room has some level of intersectionality. Don't kid yourselves. You don't have to be a Madagascan Haredi dwarf to be intersectional. I promise you. But for me, it's about having a toolbox. Mm-hmm. I think you have the same feeling. Like I use different parts of myself to repair other parts of myself and do the community work that's needed, by going in. It's like when I taught Hebrew school for 15 plus years, I had to have the conversation with some of my students about going on Taglit, et cetera, or going to study in this. I said, well, what are you going to do when you get called out for not being Jewish? Wait a minute, I'm not Jewish. I said, yes, but they're going to say this. I know that conversation about authenticity. At the same point in time, in my African American spaces, there are things that I take from Jewish life and Jewish wisdom that I apply there. And there's, if I didn't know how to cook and how to throw a party or dance, well, that's all three groups, right? if you do the right thing in the right place, you know what you know. It's about having that toolbox. And that's why it's so important to not only to encourage a certain level of interconnectedness, to really help people be their best selves and be their richest selves. The next project I'm working on is about queer identity in the kitchen. The home kitchen, the restaurant kitchen, all of us. Because these three projects, the cooking gene was about tracing my ancestry from Africa to America, from slavery to freedom. Finding out those DNA connected and beyond. I've been to Africa now 8 times. Kosher Soul was about finally talking about what does it mean to be black and Jewish and gay. And then this book. And the reason why is because I was challenged at a very big, beautiful book and author conference where all the higher-ups and all the mockers were there. And I could count the number of black people there. As my grandmother used to say from Alabama, you know where you can count to 21 without getting naked. So you got, thank you. So, thank you, Southerners in the audience. You understood. You got it right fast. There was almost none of us. I was one of 5 men of color in a group of 300 plus people who were making and breaking the food writing industry. And I wasn't making or breaking anything at that point, except my wallet to get to that conference. What I'm trying to say is, though, I was challenged, and people would say, oh, you want to write about being black or gay and Jewish and food and your family and your culture. It's just, they aren't ready for you. If they aren't ready for me, then what good is America? If this community is not ready for me, what good is Yahadut? If we aren't all at Sinai, where are we? And if not now, when? So the bottom line is, you just have to keep standing up for yourself and keep asserting that you exist, you already exist. That the hard part's over. It's the endurance that counts.
And what a gift it is that we both get to draw from such long histories of resilience and resistance, and we get to draw from one another.
That's right.
Thank you so much. You are such a blessing to this community. Appreciate you so deeply. Thank
you so much.
And now we'll be welcoming back Liz Glazer. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Is Perlman, Michael Twitty. What amazingly inspiring words about thriving and about Yahadut and how we all are B'Tselem Elokim. Truly, truly amazing. Thank you. I'm going to be thinking about your Torah for a really, really long time. I'm going to have the distinct honor and privilege as somebody who is a fan of this band, who performed the theme song for the original L Word. which I watched in many bars in Andersonville, in Chicago when I was in law school, breaking up with various girlfriends, while everyone else was also breaking up with their various girlfriends. So since 1986, the indie rock band Betty has performed worldwide. Elizabeth Ziff, Allison Palmer, and Amy Ziff are award-winning singer-songwriters, well-known to folks like me for the theme song for the L Word, and they're also equality activists fighting for reproductive freedom, for human rights, and for equality, yes, for over 36 years. They are Stonewall ambassadors, they're arts envoys for the U.S. State Department, and besties with Gloria Steinem. This year, they're going to be releasing a new album. Give it up for that, yeah. And please welcome Betty to perform a timely song that we all need to hear.
It's such an honor to be here among all these wonderful people who are doing such great work. Thank you for your work, for everyone in this room for being here today.
Thank you, Keshet. Thank you for community. Thank you to the honorees. And thank you to every single person that is here. It is a difficult time. Our community, our family will see us through. This is a prayer for peace, and bring them home. Half asleep nights melting into half awake days. I wish I knew what faith was or how to pray. Try and try and try again and try and try. Try to remember what to live for or die to reason why. You could be my Jerusalem. You could be my Jerusalem, helping me believe again. Ooh, teaching me to dream again. Ooh, you could be Jerusalem. Safe in shadows, afraid of light. I wish I knew what brave was or how to fight. Try and try and try again and try and try. Try to remember when love left or died to reason why. You could be my Jerusalem. You could be my Jerusalem, helping me believe again. Ooh, teaching me to dream again. Ooh, you could be Jerusalem.
Every breath you and I have taken, centuries of life in the making. Every breath you and I, every breath you and I have taken. Every breath you and I, every breath you and I have taken. Every breath you and I, every breath you and I have taken. Every breath, with every breath. You could be my Jerusalem. You could be my Jerusalem, helping me believe again. Ooh, teaching me to dream again. Ooh, you could be. Ooh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Give it up for Betty. That was absolutely beautiful and what we need right now. Next, I want to introduce Keshet's Director of Youth Programs, Jaimie Krass, to share more about Keshet's work and speak on my favorite topic of fundraising, or how each of you who are here and on Zoom about why Keshet's work is possible. Please welcome Jaimie Krass.
Oh my gosh, being introduced by Liz Glazer right after Betty and right after panels with all these honorees, I'm like verklempt. Like I'm kind of worried I'm gonna faint. I'm not, don't worry, but I'm close. Wow, friends, both in this room and on Zoom, wow. On behalf of the Keshet Board of Directors and all of us on staff, we are so deeply appreciative of these special guests and these fantastic panels of honorees. Let's give another hearty round of applause and mazel tov to Daniel, Karen, Rory, Russell, Jenny, and Michael. Wow. Every time I'm in a room like this, I cannot help but think that if I had known when I was a teenager that there could be a room full of hundreds of people proactively supporting my well-being and future, let's just say it would have made a profound difference, and I would have had a lot more hope in my own survival. That's been a pretty powerful through line tonight, hope. And just in case you're not quite there yet, or just in case in the days ahead you feel like you could use a reminder, I'm going to tell you a story that fills me with hope. Edgar is a 15-year-old trans teen from Florida. He came out when he was 14 after witnessing another incredible young person living openly and authentically as their full self, is Perlman, whom you all just met. And, oh yeah, you can clap that, please do. Inspired by Edgar decided to check out Keshet. And his first experience participating in a Keshet program took place just this last spring. Edgar attended a Shabbaton. And I'm not sure I can quite convey just how palpable his excitement was. He practically dove off of the bus into the weekend, enthusiastically participating in every single group activity, eagerly singing throughout our Shabbat service. It felt like every time I looked in Edgar's direction, he was chatting with someone new. Later on, that first night, one of our fabulous young adult mentors pulled me aside to let me know that there was a participant who seemed to really need some more support. It was Edgar. He was crying and having a hard time catching his breath. It was clear he was feeling pretty overwhelmed, and I gently offered to walk outside with him to get some fresh air. He rushed so quickly to the door, his glasses flew off his face, and after a few minutes of calming breaths together, he shared, I just didn't know I could feel this happy. Let that sink in for a moment. Edgar was overwhelmed to the point of tears because he had no idea up until that point just how happy he was capable of feeling. There's a truly heartbreaking element to that. But there's also a powerfully hopeful one. That is what is waiting for all of us at the end of this work. Joy. Unparalleled joy. We will work and fight every day on Edgar's behalf so that moments like that become the precedent for the rest of his life. Because that's what he and all trans, lesbian, gay, bi, and queer youth deserve. That should not be a revolutionary statement to make, but it is. We've got a long way to go, but that moment for Edgar, that happened because of you. A trans Jewish teen learned at a Shabbaton that he could have and was worth a thriving, joyful future. Today, he's one of the facilitators of our weekly online programs, Shining as a Leader. That was made possible by you. All of you have supported Keshet's work. The reason you are here today is because you give so generously to Keshet, and we are all so deeply grateful. We also know that the work is about to get even harder. We're heading into an election year, with certain individuals running for president, the same forces that enabled over 525 pieces of LGBTQ hate bills to hit state legislatures across the country this year are getting even louder. But we are not giving up. Our joy will always be louder than their hate. We will fight this fight until every single Jewish organization is a place of belonging, until every single one of us feels inspired by our Jewish tradition to advocate for our rights, and until every single LGBTQ Jew feels celebrated and cherished for who we are. We need to roll up our sleeves and dig in our heels. Or better yet, tear those sleeves off, tear half your shirts off. We can fight this fight in crop tops. That is why I am asking you right now to dig deep and continue giving tonight. To keep this work not only possible, but powerful. Some of you have already given generously tonight, and we deeply thank you. And I'm asking you to give again. And some may be giving for the first time tonight. Thank you for digging deep to support this life-changing and often life-saving work. I'm not even going to give an update on the goal yet. What I'm going to say is it behind me? Oh, good. I was going to say, let's see how we're doing on the screen. Oh, yay. I can't even tell you how much of a vote of confidence it is that we're already past this goal right now. Can we keep it going? I think we can. I'm going to remind you of the instructions again. Please, you can take out your phone. You can text the word outstanding. I love the all caps vibe, so let's go with the all caps vibe, Liz. Text the word outstanding to 44321, or you can use the QR code on the back of the programs, or you can use the envelopes if you've still got them inside of your name tags to be collected by some of my fabulous colleagues here. But let's keep this going. I don't know if it would be too bold to say, but what if we surpass that goal by 10,000? That's how much the deposit for the venue for our Shabbaton next year in Texas costs. And that's right, we're hosting a Shabbaton in Texas. Every amount makes a difference. Like I said, every amount is a huge vote of confidence in us and in this work. And let me tell you, we need that. We need you, all of you. Like I said, we have a long road ahead, and we are so lucky that you are with us. Thank you. Oh my God, I get to reintroduce Liz Glazer.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I think that we have a couple more videos. Let me just make sure. Yes. So the pink baskets are going around. You can see those. We know we're donating. Great job. We're going to hear from two other of our youth testimonials, Amanda and Doran.
I never really knew that my queer self and my Jewish self could exist in one place until I came to a Keshet Shabbaton, and that's when I really started living as my true self. I really feel like I flourished in this space because Keshet Shabbatonim, they not only allow you to be yourself, but they allow you to figure out who yourself really is. Since we're all coming from different places, we talk about what's going on in our states, and through this communication and discussion with each other, we actually build up a lot of tools that we bring at home.
I started coming in 8th grade, and that was like my first step into anything, like out of my house, sleepaway, anything. And then I just kept coming back. I think this is my 5th one. It was definitely cool to be an 8th grader, but it was also kind of nerve-wracking because everyone was so much older than me, and everyone was like, you can be here as an 8th grader? And I was like, yeah, you can. What's really beautiful about the Shabbaton is that no matter how you feel about your identity, if you're unsure or if you're a little nervous about how people might think, the Shabbaton is great because everyone's so welcoming to you no matter what, and you feel like you can really be yourself. I don't think there's any other place I've been to that has made me feel more validated, more welcomed, and just more good inside.
Amazing. So inspiring. And I just want to reiterate, number one, how grateful that I am to be part of this event and of the Keshet family. And two, how much I really wish that this was a part of my own coming out and childhood. For me, I came out because my brother is trans. And when I was young, my brother presented as female, came out as a lesbian. My parents wanted to send my brother at the time to conversion therapy. And I was arguing with my mother and my father about not doing that. And I was trying to use reasons. And then at some point, I myself came out. Not because of that argument. I knew that I was gay prior to that. But just the support in the room, the hope in the room, I just keep thinking back to myself at that time and what an amazing thing it would have been to be able to reach out and to have my parents be part of your family. So I just appreciate your inviting me to be part of you tonight. So thank you, truly. I'm also so inspired by tonight's honorees. The generosity of each of you in this room and on Zoom inspires me. Many of you have given generously to be here tonight, and I see how generously you've been giving tonight. We're keeping up that goal. I don't think it's behind me right now. Okay, but let's just think it's going up, and let's get to that $10,000. Seriously, from everything I've heard tonight, I just want to give all of my money to Keshet. That's how I feel. Truly. As a reminder, Keshet staff are still collecting donor cards. And friends, in a moment, we're going to close with a powerful song from Betty and invite you all to enjoy dessert and more drinks and schmoozing. And in our last moment, before we rock out with Betty and hit up the dessert tables, I invite you to remember the powerful words you've heard tonight. We're indeed in complicated and challenging times, and Keshet is committed to building on our progress until the entire Jewish community embraces LGBTQ+ equality and fights with us for our dignity and rights. And that means for all. Thank you for being with us on this life-changing and life-saving journey. And I just want to plug there are 2 shows that Betty has coming up. One is on December 2nd in New York, and that's at the Cutting Room, and one is on December 10th at City Winery in Boston. But for now, let's hear it again for Betty.
Thank you so much, Liz. Those of you at home who don't know, I learned last year that Keshet means rainbow. And if you didn't feel that already, the emotions in this room today, from Michael to Edgar with his glasses flying off to all you all from Missouri, it's such a beautiful thing. All I can say is, Inem tov u'menayim shevet achim gam yachad.
All right. By the way, I'm single and I'm gay. And I'm Jewish, if you couldn't tell.
Oh, what a beautiful evening.
Oh, what a beautiful day.
I've got a beautiful feeling. Everyone wants to be gay.
Hit it, please, Kyle.
It's about love, Keshet.
needs me
all night.
My mouth is sticky. I've whet that appetite. It's just love, only love, shining out, raining down, down, down.
Eh oui, mes amis, c'est l'amour. Il faut que ça soit l'amour, toujours.
My baby, so shameless, wants me always in public places, cries when I hesitate.
What's it about?
It's just love, only love, shine, raining down, down.
What's it about? Love, only love,
Shine out, raining down, down, down. It's just love.
It's about love, Keshet. Love who you want to love. Marry who you want to marry. Dance with who you want to dance with. But you got to do it to a beat. Beat, 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 beat.
My baby likes switching from this to there. If I don't mind it, why do you care?
What's it about?
It's just love, only love, shine, raining down, down.
Can you feel it?
It's just love,
only love.
Keshet in the house.
raining down, down, down. It's just love,
Love, love, love, love.
it's just
Love, 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 love.
it's just love. A look,
Tu regardes,
a lick,
tu lâches,
a scratch,
tu grilles,
a kiss.
tu embrasses.
My baby,
Mon bébé!
my bliss. So kiss. Thank you. Have a great dessert.
We love Keshet.
Thanks, everybody. Next year in Jerusalem, or at least the Bahamas.